Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Breath of Fire 2. Last time we defeated Barbary, and normally this would be about the point where we fight the final boss, but we have some unfinished business to take care of. Getting the power of Infinity. And to that end, we're going to have Aspara in our party to cast the exit spell, head back to town, and then go to where we need to go. And Ryu, well, he's gonna be in the back because we don't have Genie's Sten to help us nope out of battles anymore. So we need to rely on some Kaiser Dragon spam in order to beat up the random encounters. Before we do that, we're going to take this free healing spot in order to restore all of our HP and AP. And joining us today is Skyzo. How you doing, buddy?
Well, I'm good. It's been a while.
Indeed. So we're gonna skip to the actual dungeon entrance and make sure that you have an empty inventory slot on the leading character. And that will allow you to get your initiatives much easier. Initiatives allow you to automatically run from all battles, as you can see here. Now, here's a fight that we didn't get initiative on. So here's yet another reminder of just how awesome Kaiser Dragon is. And have the rest of the guys defend because they literally don't need to do anything. Which is why Ryu is in the back, because the guy in the last position takes the least amount of damage, is targeted the least often, and is the only guy we need actually attacking. There we go!
Okay, that was very nice.
Were it not for Genie's Sten and all the crazy stuff I did during the last 2 episodes, this would be the strat for the entire dungeon, and we'd have all been like 7 to 10 levels higher, so that's part of why I didn't feel bad about choosing the dungeon like I did.
I wouldn't feel bad about it either.
Yeah. Alright, Skyzo, you ready to hear a story?
Oh boy, there we go.
And there we go, that's the story.
Oh.
I don't know what happened with that translation, but it's an error I've seen in a lot of JRPGs, where someone asks if you want to hear a story, but it's very clear that that wasn't the context of the scene. I guess even Ryusui falls victim to a context error every now and then.
So, what's going on here? What just happened?
Okay, so this part is actually pretty interesting. You see how we saw one of our party members there? Each door has a different member. Each of them was something unusually insightful, emotional, and/or serious to say. Tapeta here has spent most of the day as a joke character, and yet here he is pontificating on the nature of evil and how no one is naturally bad. And when we get to the end of this hallway, he'll have something even more serious to say.
Okay. Well, this is mildly interesting.
It is. They have their say, they teleport out, then you go to the next door, they teleport in, and the process repeats until you've done that with all of your characters. Pretty neat. The only thing, of course, is that the next 8 minutes are basically this, one long cutscene. So, with that said, and some time to kill, let's talk about something. So, this is something the game expected us to do, like 2 episodes ago. And there's a reason I delayed it, because The thing is, some story cutscenes, they actually undo all of your fusions for some strange reason. And that's in addition to being able to lose them if you go under 70% of your HP. So had we done this first, we actually would not have been able to have Genie Sten, and we would have had to actually fight every single encounter that we came across. Except, of course, for the ones that we had initiative on, but that goes without saying. And plus, you wouldn't have your fusions for the final boss. It'd be a little bit like if you were playing Pokemon, and all of them were forcefully de-evolved right before the Elite Four. Not a huge deal, but annoying and less optimal. So what we do instead is that we fight Barbary, then we save, and then we come back here, and then we death warp after this cutscene so that we warp back to the save point. And we'll have had our Genie fusions for all of the random encounters, because the final boss is only like a room away from Barbary. Weird, huh?
Well, I guess we're closer than I thought.
Oh, indeed. And actually, there's a way you can have fusions even for the final boss. But it requires... It's not really worth the time it takes, because again, after Barbary, the final boss is the only fight you've got, and, you know, fusions are good, but they're not that good. They're not waste several minutes good.
So, is it like a glitch?
I have no idea, honestly. Because the thing of it is, this also happened in the first Breath of Fire game, which also undid your fusions at random times during cutscenes. But the difference is, in the first game, you could just redo your fusions whenever you wanted, so long as you were outside of battle. Actually, no, even in battle, I think you could redo your fusions, so it was easy. But in this game, you have to go back all the way to Township, and then come back through the dungeon all over again to actually have it for the final boss. So it's way less convenient doing it in this game than it is doing it in Breath of Fire 1. So it's hard to tell if it was an oversight or if it was a glitch. If I had to guess, it was a little bit of both. If they had had enough time, they would have had custom animations of, say, Genie Sten stretching out his hands, or Devil Cat breaking open boulders with her feet and everything, but since they didn't, they settled for having the fusions be really easy to undo so they could still force certain members into your party at select points in the game, like, say, Sten and Highfort, or Lean and Kodo, and Rand at Evrai, and other things like that. Not a great game design decision, but unfortunately, that's what they went with, so oh well. Now we're gonna get to the big climax of all of that. Let's see what we have inside the last door. Ourselves! What the...
That's a nice twist, when you meet your own character.
Yeah, and he's actually talking this time. But, uh-oh. What's his ultimatum? Oh, wow. This game really is big on the whole heroic sacrifice thing, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, how many is that? We've got our mother sacrificing her freedom to seal the gates before then ending her life to allow us to pass through them. Nina's sister sacrificed her humanity in order to become a great bird and get us into Evrai. Tika sacrificed himself to save us. Frey sacrificed himself to bring out our full dragon powers. And then Rand's mom sacrificed herself to save Rand. And your own father sacrifices his own freedom just so you'd get a flying town. Not anything important, just, whoa, my town can fly now. So you know what? I don't think I want anyone else to die. How about you, Skyzo? I think we've had enough dead characters, don't you?
I think so. So, what are we actually talking to?
Actually, it does answer that very shortly.
I guess another demon.
By the way, if you hear skips in the music, that's because all of the hallways are kind of copied and pasted, so I edited out a lot of the tedium. I just didn't think that was necessary, and my editing software has improved enough to where that's not so bad anymore.
That's nice. You do a lot of things behind the scenes, and I feel that some of it goes unappreciated.
It's just... well, it's not... that's to be expected.
And I wonder if we're going to fight any bosses this episode.
And by the way, if you actually went along with the plan, you just sort of fade out, and then you talk to the Dragon Sage, and he would say something like, "You are not worthy." And then you just try again as though nothing happened. So yes, everything that happened here was an illusion. It was all in our heads, and we were fighting the evil in our own hearts. So basically the lesson is, don't be willing to sacrifice your friends. Victory is useless if the price is too high. Kind of a good lesson, and yet kind of weird, because up until now, the plot's been full of people sacrificing themselves to get us through. And yet suddenly, now that it's a main character, oh no, we can't have that. Weird. Very weird.
Yeah, some conflicting messages for sure.
So anyways, that is how you get out of the final dungeon. You exit out of those two spots. And it's also really important that you get everything you wanted to, like the life brace, before doing this, because you can retreat back, but you can't warp forward. So just be careful before doing so. And now we're gonna show off how you would get your fusions back. This is basically kind of a cheap and janky exploit, and yet absolutely necessary if you want your fusions back for the final boss in any kind of convenient way. There's also this defuse orb, which is... well, if you use it, you can undo all your fusions. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but there you go. And we're setting ourselves up for the Death Warp, and I'm still... oh yeah, the kick of it is, you can't get rid of the Defuse Orb. It just takes up a permanent spot in your inventory. So now we're gonna Death Warp via a very strong enemy at gate with people who aren't our fusion members. That is very important. Very important.
I almost feel like the orb is a failsafe, if that makes sense.
How so?
Like if something goes wrong, like for some reason, you can progress. You have it.
Oh! You know what? Yeah, it is. Because there are some spots in the game where you lose your base abilities if you're fused and can't progress. So that's actually a good point. But anyway, yeah! Now we have our fusions! Hooray! And we didn't have to go all the way back through the final dungeon to do it. And now we have Sten with amazingly high vigor, which is good because the final boss has something like, I don't know, 138 speed? I mean, pretty fast. Only Lean can naturally undo him. So anyway, we're just gonna get rid of all that. We don't need it. And it's not something I would actually do, I just wanted to show it off, in case you're a perfectionist, you know what I mean?
Right. Although I wonder how difficult the final boss really is, if you'd really need the fusions.
If you can beat Barbary, you can beat him. He's not a whim. He's got some tough stuff, but you can beat him. Well, you can beat him if you've got AoE healing. If you don't, he might be a little... yeah. Anyways, this room is where we'd meet him, but I never showed off the rest of this game's fusions, so I'm gonna do that in this episode, and then we're gonna see the final boss in the next one, alright?
That sounds good to me.
So here we are, back at Township. First of all, let us get Tapeta with the Holy Shaman for his Paladin form. The form that some people say justifies how weak he is in the beginning. I don't personally think it does. But anyways, we've got Aspara with his Fire and Devil form to get his, I say, Fire and Brimstone form. We've got Rand with the Water and Earth forms for his Soil Armadillo form, who is really, really short. And now we see what I was talking about earlier. See, Tapeta, he can use his ability just fine. And Aspara, his ability is also intact. But if you try to use Rand, you cannot use his rolling ability until you undo the fusion. Because I guess that would have required custom sprite animations, and, well, I guess that was a corner they were willing to cut. Makes me wonder just how late in the game the fusions were added.
That's a good question. I do like the other fusions though. I think they look nice.
They do. They're awesome. We've got Nature for Aspara. It's the same as it was when he was in his base form, it just has a much higher chance of working, but still has a chance to fail. So that's that. And his fusions, if you're on a grassland or a riverland or a dense forest, no wait, not a grassland, a desert, it has a chance of doing something really good, but is otherwise useless. And Cleave, as you can see here, has a chance of instantly killing all enemies if you give up a turn, and you get lucky. These guys are low level, so it will usually work, but against endgame enemies, it's about 50-50, I think? So instead of Kaiser Dragon, which you get for free, and will kill all enemies, and can be done in the first turn, you have Tapeta, who can give up a turn to try killing everyone on turn 2 and maybe fail. Totally not worth it. I don't know why people hype up his Paladin form so much. But next up, we've got Aspara's Water Girl form, which is just the Water Shaman. And we've also got her Bud form, which is the Earth Shaman. And in addition to that, we've got Bosch in his Robo form with the Devil and Holy Shamans. Robo Bosch and Bud Aspara are actually pretty interesting, and would have had a lot more use in a playthrough where I didn't use dragons, but I did, so it is what it is. Anyways, Bud has Boss Blossom or Bud, which basically means he gives up a turn so that his next 4 attacks are done with double attack and double speed against the lowest level enemy on the battlefield. And what's interesting is that it's coded in a way where you can actually break the attack cap. Normally all attacks are capped at 511, and it's supposed to cap at 511 too, but the game's programmers forgot to define what exactly was too high. So it can actually just do obscene amounts of damage if he's overleveled and if he has the Might status, which are 2 very big assumptions. So, in our case, not gonna be worth justifying the time grinding him. And Spore It has a chance of putting all enemies to sleep or putting all of your guys to sleep. Way too deadly to be worth using. And as for Bosch, he attacks everyone with his special ability, and also has a much faster rate of fire in the hunting minigame. And also a custom animation, because I guess that was worth it. So if you needed sirloins for cooking wisdom fruits, you would kill those grizzlies. And if you just wanted a bunch of roasts for instantly healing all of a character's HP, you'd get roasts from everyone else. So if you ever wanted to hunt, this is the time to do it.
I think this is the first time I've seen this minigame. Or maybe I've seen it before, but it does look pretty fun.
It's done through forests that randomly spawn on the overworld after a fight. Do be careful if you see the grizzly, though, that it doesn't bump into you, because that will start a forest encounter, and then you exit out of the forest afterwards. But anyways, here he is! The final boss, the Dark God. The one we have been working all this time to slay. And he is right in front of us, mocking us with his villainous music. Shame we can't see his face, but if we did, all of the story cutscenes would start. And I want to save that for tomorrow. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this episode. This is Fiona Day Quester, signing out. Have a blessed day, and look forward to seeing you all for the climactic confrontation next time on Breath of Fire 2.
Okay, well, I'm gonna catch you all later.
Bye!